What's up, everybody? Welcome back to our third game of our live Rivals draft. At this point, I'm going to play Elite General Hux, Lobot, and a Jawa. So this is a mono red deck, so it'll be interesting to see how that kind of pans out. And I'm still rocking the same deck. Haven't made any changes in between rounds, which you can do during draft. I felt very comfortable and very good with how my deck has kind of performed the first two games. So he's kind of going for Guardian and keep things around. He's playing 4 annexes, or however you pronounce it, where while you have the battlefield, all of your characters have the keyword Guardian. So getting General Hux, I think, at 2 dice is pretty good. So he's 14 with 2 dice. Lobot brings him up to 24 with a single die, and then the Jawa rounds it out for 30. So he does eat the 1 on Lobot, as obviously he wants to keep his 2-die character around. And now I think this is probably the only time you ever want to play elite characters. If you're playing an elite character and a single die of another character, I don't think it's very viable. And in my first draft, I didn't play against him, but somebody did end up getting double Qui-Gon, and I don't maybe he ran Ketsu or Anakin with him, but either way, it was a 2-character 3-dice start. And I just do not think it was viable. I don't think he ended up doing super well with that, unfortunately. I think, especially, I mean, it is Qui-Gon and Ketsu, say at that point that's 20 health, where mine there's 29, despite having another character. So he plays Probe his first turn, gets the Disrupt. At this point, I just know I have to resolve or spend my resources before I lose them. So what I have in hand is Fearless. Wasn't exactly one I wanted to play. I would have rather played Imperial HQ, but I would have rather spent both resources and see one get disrupted. He's pitching a reroll at this point. I guess he's just debating whether or not he wants to keep that disrupt. And now he's got a double discard, which is not fun. Sitting across the table from, because I do have cards in hand that I want to do, and especially doing that, he now has a high percentage chance of that. So I'm going to just start to go for Lobot. Rather than letting him spread around, I'll just start to go down with him. And honestly, going for Lobot, if he started guarding around, Jawa was the one I would have been least excited to kill first, simply because Lobot has that special, which is extremely good. Being able to do a +2 modifier on any die is super good. So I didn't see the first card he got rid of, but the second one was a Repeating Blaster. I think I drew a lot of upgrades that first turn, so I wasn't super upset. I kept Imperial HQ, which I ended up discarding. I would have liked to see something more out of Ketsu this turn. I didn't want to end with a blank and only having 3 damage, but I didn't want to pitch that Fang Fighter. So I'll claim. And honestly, playing against somebody who brings this battlefield and you having to use it, if you don't actually think about Guardian, it is quite tough. I definitely forgot about this many times. So he focuses to the special, I think, but he decides to go for the resource, which I think is the right move. And then he plays the EMP grenades, which made me a little worried. It only has 1 special side, so it's oftentimes hard to hit that, but I don't want to play my Fang Fighter and have it be discarded. That does not seem very fun. So it looks like I have the Vibrax, and I believe yeah. It's got redeploy, has 3 damage sides, super good. So happy to see that. The Fearless was nice. I mean, it would have been nice to be able to roll that out or something and still get the shield, but I think it'd be better to get that out early rather than wait. Roll out Hera in case I hit the special, which I do. But again, I don't want to resolve that right away, because what if he rolls out and gets that special? But he doesn't. He gets a resource, so I'm kind of holding on to that. He probably thinks I probably don't have anything, which if I were him, I would too. And I think he ends up resolving that as a resource. I'm still sipping on my Sam Adams beers. It rolls out the Jawa. And now I hate Guardian pay size anyways. That just doesn't seem fun. But I keep forgetting about it. I would have liked to spread the damage around. But then again, he hasn't targeted anybody yet, really. He took a shield off Anakin. I think that was about the only damage he's done so far. Yeah, the shield from Fearless last time. But yeah, so right now he's sitting on 3 damage, resource, Hux's special, and a blank, and he still has Lobot. And so he did fight back, so he removed his probe droid to remove my damage side. But it ended up working out in my favor because then I rolled the 3 on the Vibro sword and the 2 on Anakin. So I got 5 damage sitting right in front of me. There's 3 on Lobot. So this will put him at 8, 1 away from death. So yeah, he does the 3 to Anakin, and I'll do the 5 right back to Lobot. Again, I still feel pretty good. He's only put 3 damage, or 4 if you count the shield he took off, and I've put 8 on Lobot right now. And again, Hux is the guy I want to take out, but taking out Lobot I really don't think is too bad of an alternative. So at this point, I'll resolve the special. He resolved the MP. And I said I was going to turn it upside down, so I knew that was played by Harris, so I didn't forget. You know, he probably would remind me, but then once you turn it, as he exhausted anyways, you can't really tell, but I mean, we remember. It's generally pretty easy. I think it only gets a little bit crazy when you have about 4 or 5 vehicles out in the Hera, Maz, Ezra, or Rookie Pilot, whichever one you decide to play. It only gets crazy when you have 2 Y-Wings, the Millennium Falcon, and a Ghost out, and you're a little bit confused. You might end up forgetting just by chance. So he's got a discard. I figured I'd rather just pitch a reroll, see what I get, and I got Lethal on Lobot. So he discards that last card, which is the Crafted Lightsaber, which I do like and think is a good card. It just, sometimes I struggle to find times where I want to play it. So oftentimes I'll roll out Anakin, but then if I get that 2 for 1, I obviously would much rather resolve that 2 for 1 than pay to put a upgrade on a character that won't even be able to roll out. So again, at this point he claims, so he now has the Guardian for his Jawa again, but still looking pretty good. I killed one of his characters and only took 3 damage so far, so it's looking pretty good for us. He doesn't have too much threatening with damage out at this point. Just the EMP grenade and the probe droid, and Hux only has the 1 range damage. So I got Tinker, Hidden Agenda, got the Fang Fighter back in my hand, of course. So I do have a few options for removal. If you watch my draft video, for this very reason, I picked this card. So I was so lucky. He played the Fang Fighter, which has Ambush, which I always forget that it does. And he didn't roll it in, so I was lucky enough to be able to then exhaust that support. So he played that, paid the 3 resources, and was not able to roll it out this turn. So that was a super awesome play that I was very happy that I drew into that card. I don't even know the name of it. Couldn't tell you that. It's a common, neutral, disable maybe. I don't know. So he disrupts me. That hurt a lot. And now I have, I rolled out a shield, and now I rolled out Luke, and I have the 2 and the +3 showing. Or +2, excuse me. Well, Ketsu, I believe I get the 2, so I'm very fortunate there. Enemy cover removes a modified. I don't know what it's called. Again, so many of these cards, I just have no idea what they are called. I just know what they do, simply because it was just played against me. So he rolls out the Jawa, assuming that he's not going to Guardian anything, as I cannot pay for the 2 for 1 on Anakin. I was half tempted to play the Hidden Agenda, just get that disrupt out of here, but definitely not worth it. So now I rolled out, did double specials. Don't believe I had anything in my hand to actually chuck or get shields from with Anakin, but I do have the Fang Fighter in my hand, in which I can play with Harris. So alright, so now I'll do the hidden motive. So I'll re-roll the Java, I'll say range, and he rolls a resource. So it stays out there, which stinks, but much better than taking 2 damage. So now he takes 2 resources. I'll resolve my Hair Special, which has ambush. I always forget. Um, he was asking if I want to resolve the Anakin, but yeah, I didn't have anything that I needed at that point. And he has claimed at this point, and that was my last card that I pitched to reroll. So unfortunate that I wasn't able to get anything to even resolve. So I drew into Deadly Persuasion. I think I saw an At Peace. I believe I end up using At Peace this turn. It's not the best thing in the world, but when he rolls out and has a lot of stuff that can mess with you or just kind of increase his board state, I figured it'd be pretty good to just kind of mess with that plan. But still, at this point, 2 damage on Hux, a dead Lobot, and just 1 damage on Anakin. So he has advanced his board state. He's sitting on 5 resources. So he is looking pretty good, but I think he discarded, or he has the Iron Rifle in his hand, actually. I think what he ends up doing is going to play the Y-Wing. Yeah, he spends 3 for the Y-Wing, and he probably keeps those 2 resources for Heat of Battle. Roll a focus with Hera. Rolls out the Fang Fighter and gets a shield. At this point, I'm just trying to be patient and not really force anything. Yeah, so now he just has a bunch of different sides showing. So I'll resolve special, I'll discard Deadly, and I'll do 2 Hux. So that's putting him at 4. But he still does have a lot of stuff coming my way. Simply having a Fang Fighter and a Y-Wing out could be potential 7 damage that turn. So I ended up playing that piece. In hindsight, I think I should have just held on to that. But he did get the special. I could have used those 2 resources to prevent damage and only taken 2 damage. But I got nervous about all the other stuff out there he had out there. So, he could have easily pitched a reroll, but I think he had a hand that he liked. He had the targeting computer, I think I saw. I think he had Heat of Battle. He had Ion Disrupt. So roll out Ketsu, and I get the 2 melee, which is awesome. So at this point, yeah. So I focus to the 1. I don't have any resources. There's no point in turning it to a 3. Honestly, I kind of wish I took a resource instead. I don't think 1 damage would have been crazy, but Heat of Battle, remember this has been errated. It is not all dice. It is just 2 for each you and your opponent. So obviously a good time to play when I only have 1 die out. What we were talking about here is we weren't sure if it had to turn, if it was I could turn up to 2 dice, but he thought it was turn, so in a friendly casual drift, I'm not going to argue it. So turn it to 3, but obviously I cannot resolve that. And he turned the Fang Fighter to a 3 and the Y-Wing to a 2, so I'm staring at 5 damage coming at me this turn. Looks at my hand. I've got a Fang Fighter and the Sniper, so the probe will do nothing, and I take a resource at this point. pitches a reroll, gets disrupt, all that good stuff. So we'll stink losing that resource, but it could be worse. So he takes 2 resources. He'll disrupt me, I believe, and he'll do 5 to Anakin, I believe. Oh, that's right. Yep. So he does the 3, and then he does the Y-Wing special, but Hera didn't really care whether or not she lived. She was nice to have, but her taking that 4 damage was definitely where I was going to put it. Don't want her on Ketsu. Don't want her on Anakin. So I just drew into my heavy ion disruptor, and I just figured I need to get that out. And again, I forgot about the Guardian, right? If I'm gonna put damage on somebody, it's gonna be Hera, but my first action was to roll her out, which I did like to do because then I could potentially dictate my turn. You know, if I get range, then I tend to go a little bit more aggressive. If I get the resource, I know I can set up my board a little bit. The special is usually kind of worthless, but I do have the Fang Fighter in my hand. I think that's what I was hoping for with that. So he's starting to get a lot of dice across the table, which makes me extremely nervous. So I pitched a reroll, and I get a 3, I believe that is. Yep, 3. So I'm sitting on 4 damage. I think I just blow the Jawa off the board. You know, I could put Hux at 8, but getting rid of a character is pretty sweet. Yeah. I think at this point he's just trying to decide what to do. I don't think he wants to lose his Jawa, but I think he's just kind of trying to see if he can get out of it, but it's more something he kind of has to accept. But he could also, I think he would prefer me do that to the Jawa rather than put Hux at a very lethal point. So he might even end up eating the 3 damage into the Jawa just to make me resolve the 1 into him. But I do not remember. No, I think he just rolled him out. I had the battlefield anyways, I had the Guardian. So yeah, I'll take him out. So now we're just down to Hux, who has 4 damage on him, so I need to do 7 more before he does 12 plus 11, so 23 more damage. Right? 6 health on higher, so still looking pretty good again. Just being able to make the game go a little bit longer and kind of get my big upgrades out and then just hit them for large spikes of damage. I think he's just trying to figure out what his best way of survival is because he doesn't have a lot of damage stuff out. He already resolved the Y-Wing 2 into Ketsu, I believe. He took the 2 shields there. Or actually, I think I Guardian them. So, actually used it finally. But he's trying to figure that way out because, I mean, Hux can bring 2 damage. The Probe Droid can't do any. The EMP can't do any. And the Fang Fighter. So the most he's getting, okay, so he resolved once. The most he's going to get is 4. So at this point, I know he'll be staying alive. Yeah, discarding the Seeker Droid was rough because I think it's a really good card to have. But at this point, I was really just trying to get Hux within that range of the Ion Disruptor. So I discarded it so I could do 2 damage, put him at 6. So he is 5 away from death. And honestly, if he's doing Heat of Battle, I should have let that Ketsu die out. I know that he's sitting on 4 resources. Discards my last 2 cards, which was my Fang Fighter and Fight Back. Fight Back's probably a super good removal. I mean, given what it is, especially in Pirate War, there's not much in ways of removal other than the rival set. I mean, there's Pin Down and stuff, but I mean, trying to play around getting vehicles can be tough. So he does flanking remover, so that's 2 damage there. And then he'll do 2 more. He might. I don't know if he does heat of battle. Yeah, he'll just do the 2. So at this point, Anakin's sitting at 8 again, which is okay because if he dies, Ketsu gets that big gun. So I think first action really is just to roll out and see what happens. I think this is the round that I realized training remote is blue character dice only. I was very upset when I realized that. It's not very good in constructed, and it's not very good in draft. I think the best bet you can get with the training remote is maybe having it in a mace or an Obi-Wan deck, a heavy hitter, and putting partnership in with them. But then you're at the mercy of your rolls. So at this point, is that the 5? I believe that's the 5. Yeah. So I think that should just about do it for this game. I don't think there's anything else he's able to do. Yeah, I think Dangerous Mission, he could turn a die to a sideshow and a resource cost, but that really just bumps it down 1. I could have discarded to get back up anyways, and I think I would still have lethal, because right now it's at 7, that'd bring me down to 6, and he's sitting at 6, so yeah, that's still lethal. Yeah, if he does heat a battle, then I just turn it to, if I'm sitting at the 5, go down to the 4, and it just goes to the other 2, so I think that just about would do it. Yeah, I'm tired. That Ion Disruptor Rifle is very good in draft format. And again, I was one of the people who thought a 5 cost was probably never going to see play, but having Ketsu and having that redeploy on that weapon, I think makes it worth it. Yeah. So at this point, he's just kind of saying he really doesn't have much. But it was a good game. So Sean, thanks for the game. Well played. At this point, I'm sitting 3-0. But there's also another 3-0. We had 9 people, so 1 person had to buy, so it was a little mixed. So now I'm going to play my buddy Tommy, who is a very good player. So come back, make sure the next episode you guys check out. But yeah, sitting through, at this point, subscribe, give us a like, and yeah, just let me know your opinions, comments, questions, anything like that, and I'll catch you next time. Have a good one.